In this video, we're exposing the 10 most hated fashion trends that somehow conquered America despite initial mockery. Number 1. Wide-collared shirts. Remember when men's shirt collars were so modest they barely peeked over jacket lapels? That all changed in the early 70s when collars suddenly expanded to unprecedented proportions. These wide-collared shirts, with their dramatic points extending well beyond the shoulders, seemed absolutely ridiculous when they first appeared. People couldn't help but laugh at these fashion oddities that made wearers look ready for takeoff. My dad refused to wear them at first, remembers fashion historian Alan Barnett. He'd point at guys wearing them and say they looked like they were about to flap their wings and fly away. The mockery was relentless, with comedians joking that men needed FAA clearance before getting dressed. Yet somehow, these wing-like creations evolved from fashion punchline to wardrobe essential. By 1973, the previously modest collar had stretched to an average of 4 to 5 inches from point to point. Suddenly, if your collar didn't have some serious wingspan, you weren't part of the in crowd. Number 2. Jumpsuits. As men were strutting around in their dramatic shirt collars, women were embracing a fashion item that offered serious style with a significant drawback. The jumpsuit, that one-piece wonder that somehow convinced an entire generation that looking fabulous was worth the bathroom struggle. Originally designed for utility and function, jumpsuits made the leap from practical workwear to fashion must-have around 1975, becoming a style sensation despite their obvious design flaw. Think about it. How many garments require you to almost completely undress just to use the bathroom? As one fashion-forward woman from the era put it, every woman who wore one knew the struggle of the awkward dance of zippers, buttons, and silent regret. Yet somehow, this inconvenience wasn't enough to stop the jumpsuit revolution. Why? Because jumpsuits delivered something magical, an instantly coordinated look with minimal effort. No need to match tops and bottoms when your entire outfit came in one piece. The mid-70s saw these garments evolve with bold variations, flared legs that swished dramatically as you walked, sleeveless styles for summer, and glamorous bell-sleeved versions perfect for disco nights. Number 3. Tube tops. As jumpsuits faded into the background, something far more minimal took center stage. The tube top, literally nothing more than a simple band of stretchy fabric, appeared in the mid-1970s and immediately raised eyebrows. How could something with no straps, hooks, or apparent means of support possibly stay up? It seemed destined for fashion disaster and public embarrassment. "I'll never understand how the girls pulled it off," my dad used to say, shaking his head as we passed shop windows displaying these gravity-defying garments. School administrators agreed with his skepticism, quickly adding tube tops to their list of banned clothing items alongside other distractions. What these critics missed was how perfectly the tube top captured the decade's carefree spirit. At roller rinks and disco clubs across America, young women embraced this minimalist fashion statement that celebrated body confidence. The tube top's magical ability to stay put, mostly during a night of dancing, represented liberation from complicated undergarments and restrictive designs. Number 4. Polyester suits and leisure suits. While women were basking in the freedom of tube tops, men were embracing a fashion revolution of their own, one that was simultaneously scorned and celebrated. The polyester suit emerged as the ultimate symbol of masculine confidence, despite being what fashion critics called too hot, too shiny, too much. These synthetic wonders could raise your body temperature by several degrees while you wore them, creating a personal sauna that followed you everywhere. Remember those wide collars we talked about? They found their perfect match in the exaggerated lapels of these suits, which came in an eye-catching rainbow of options: powder blue, mustard yellow, and even shiny silver sharkskin variations transformed ordinary men into walking disco balls. John Travolta's iconic white suit in Saturday Night Fever didn't just define a character, it legitimized an entire fashion movement that had been dismissed as cheap and artificial. Number 5. Doctor. Scholl's wooden sandals. From the greenhouse effect of polyester suits to the battlefield of summer footwear, have you ever wondered why millions of young women in the 1970s willingly wore wooden sandals that literally attacked their ankles with every step? Dr. Scholl's wooden sandals became the ultimate summer fashion statement despite being what can only be described as minimalist torture devices. Their simple design, just a wooden sole with a single leather strap, created the infamous ankle smack that left a trail of bruises on legs across America. The distinctive clip-clop sound announced your arrival long before you were visible. Walking in them required a special technique, a constant toe-gripping action that gave your feet a workout while simultaneously battering your ankles. Yet somehow, these medieval-inspired foot weapons became the height of summer fashion. What's even more fascinating is the camaraderie that developed around their discomfort. Girls at school would proudly compare their bruises and battle scars, wearing them almost like badges of honor. "Look what my Scholl's did yesterday" became a common conversation starter in hallways and at pool parties. Number 6. Earth shoes. Just when you thought 70s footwear couldn't get stranger than wooden ankle bruisers, along came a shoe that literally turned conventional design upside down. Earth shoes featured a bizarre negative heel that positioned your heel lower than your toes, making you feel like you were constantly walking downhill. Who would possibly want that sensation all day long? Quite a lot of people, as it turned out. These unconventional shoes weren't dreamed up by podiatrists, but by Danish yoga teacher Anne Calso in the early 70s. The unusual design wasn't just a gimmick. It was meant to promote a more natural walking posture that aligned perfectly with the decade's growing natural living movement. While mainstream America initially dismissed them as just another hippie fad, something unexpected happened when skeptics actually tried them on. Number 7. Moon boots. While Earth shoes kept your feet firmly planted, another 70s footwear trend was literally shooting for the moon. Have you ever wondered why a generation obsessed with space exploration suddenly decided to stomp around in oversized, puffy boots that looked like they belonged on the lunar surface? These weren't just any winter boots. Moon boots drew direct inspiration from the actual footwear worn by Apollo astronauts, tapping into America's space-age fascination. When they first appeared, people couldn't help but laugh at their ridiculous proportions. Kids wearing them to school faced inevitable teasing about looking like they were preparing for a spacewalk between math and science class. The boot's construction was deliberately over the top, featuring vibrant colors, excessive padding, and a silhouette so distinct you could spot them from across the ski lodge. Despite their cartoonish appearance, something magical happened. These bulky, moon-inspired creations started appearing everywhere from winter slopes to suburban streets. Number 8. Satin bomber jackets. If moon boots celebrated space exploration, satin bomber jackets celebrated rebellion against practicality itself. Imagine wearing something so shiny it could double as a mirror in a pinch, especially in an era when most jackets were designed to blend in rather than stand out. These jackets weren't just clothing. They were statements of defiance wrapped in lustrous fabric. Parents often rolled their eyes at these flashy garments. A jacket made of satin. What's next? Velvet jeans was a common refrain in households across America. But that mockery couldn't dim the appeal of these eye-catching pieces that transformed from military flight gear into vibrant street fashion. What made these jackets particularly remarkable was their versatility despite their impracticality. Available in electric reds, blues, and greens with contrasting stripes, they offered the perfect lightweight option for spring evenings or fall afternoons. The satin material might not have provided much warmth, but that hardly mattered. These weren't about function. Number 9. Bell bottoms. From rockstar jackets to sailor pants gone wild, bell bottoms might have started as practical naval wear, but they sparked perhaps the most heated fashion debates of the entire decade. These dramatically flared pants began their journey on ships, where sailors valued the ability to easily roll them up while working on deck. But when they sailed into mainstream fashion, traditionalists were quick to sound the alarm. Parents weren't just concerned about the exaggerated silhouette. They had practical complaints too. The wide, flowing fabric caught in bike chains dragged through puddles and collected debris as wearers walked. Yet despite the mockery, these elephant legs continued their march into wardrobes across America. What made bell-bottoms irresistible was their remarkable versatility. Fashion titans Yves Saint Laurent and Halston incorporated them into high-end collections, while everyday styles ranged from subtle flares to dramatic floor sweepers. They paired perfectly with form-fitting bodysuits and hip-hugger styles, creating that distinctive 70s silhouette. Number 10. Gaucho pants. If bell-bottoms were about making a dramatic entrance, gaucho pants were about confusing every fashion rule in the book. These cropped, wide-legged pants occupied a strange fashion limbo. Not quite pants, not quite skirts, not quite culottes, yet somehow managed to convert their harshest critics into devoted fans. When gaucho pants first appeared in the early 1970s, the reaction was decidedly mixed. Not for the disco floor, critics declared, pointing to their awkward mid-calf length that seemed specifically designed to make anyone's legs look shorter. Their unusual proportions raised eyebrows and practical questions. Were they appropriate for work? For dates? For anything at all? Yet these South American-inspired pants, originally worn by skilled horsemen, found an unexpected audience among fashion-forward women. Made from comfortable denim or ultra suede, they offered a breath of fresh air in a decade that embraced experimentation. Designers like Diane von Furstenberg incorporated them into collections, giving them a stamp of high fashion approval.